Well, guys, this is round two. This is the second interview for the Friday. I have a triple threat on a Friday. This is the second one. I'm speaking to Deds from Coal Chamber. Good morning from Australia, Deds.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And it's an absolute pleasure, man. And I'm so overwhelmed. I'm living a child dream. This is a dream for me. Being a fan of the metal scene and doing a metal show. You're the second guy on a Friday morning here in Australia that I'm talking to. It's just an absolute pleasure.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. I mean, look, Australia has always been a great place for me to come play, either I'm with Devil Driver or with Coal Chamber. So it's all good, man. It's all good. I appreciate the support.
And we cannot wait, man, just to hear more about you guys, because what I've got given to me just recently is that you guys have done a new album, and I have listened to this from Metal Blade. It's also via Rocket as well. It's just an outstanding album from top to bottom. I just want to ask straight off the bat, how long did that album, the latest album, took to take place? Like the bit of the rundown of the recording process and getting the songs mastered and mixed and all that.
Right. Well, I mean, first of all, I think Australia should be proud, man, because actually where I heard some new songs that made me want to do a new Coal Chamber record were in Australia when we were at Soundwave, and that's what kind of spurred this on. I think people are going to get, an evolution, most definitely. I mean, don't expect a 90s throwback record. We didn't want to be part of anything that was nostalgic, and if you're familiar with Coal Chamber, you know that the first, the second, and the third record are so different from one another that I don't think anybody wanted us to repeat things. And I think what's going on right now in this camp is a lot of positivity, and what spurred this record on was me hearing good music. Now, that being said, right after that, we locked ourselves in a room. We started a demo. I went back and forth with them lyrically and on arrangements. Then we locked ourselves away with the producer with pre-production, and really kind of honed these songs in. It's they're very maturely written. It's one of the reasons I wanted to be part of it. Very maturely written, big hooks, a lot of flavor to it, and the sound of the record, the tones of the record, the arrangements, the songs themselves, they sound almost like a fresh new sound. And that was something I really was interested in doing and wanted to be a part of, is, to not repeat the past and to go and to try to make something new and fresh and heavy and dark. And frankly, Coal Chamber is one of those bands out there that we can listen to everything from Bauhaus to Black Flag to Black Sabbath, and I think that's what makes us truly different from a lot of projects. And, I'm excited that this record is starting to get out. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I mean, even from the most cynical of journalists that I've known for 20 years, it would definitely tell me if my shit stunk. They're, good enough friends to tell me. They're like, man, I can't stop listening to this. So hearing this in overwhelming volumes means a great deal. We had a good time making the record, so people should know that as well.
Yeah. And you just mentioned Soundwave. That was awesome. We just had Soundwave 2 months ago here in Australia. Are you so surprised how you can just have a travelling festival? Doesn't cost that much to transport your stuff around Australia from city to city compared to some other festivals that you may have to. It's just so great to see a festival like Soundwave being a travelling festival. But do you see this new culture uprising because it's done to sprout around the world, these travelling festivals?
Well, look, I've seen it for years, obviously, overseas in Europe. That's where that festival mentality began, and starting to see a lot of that, obviously with Ozfest broke out over here in the United States, and Mayhem followed suit with that. I'm starting to see it in a lot of places. Now, Soundwave, I've got a personal connection and relationship with, because AJ Matta and his wife Joe are like family to me, man. If not family. I just talked to AJ this morning from New Orleans, and he's coming to my house, I think next week, to California. And it's a wonderfully run festival with an eye for talent, both new and old. And I think they do a great mix of bands and of different genres as well. And that's what's really cool, man. It's like, listen, I don't have any room for the purist. Even though I listen to metal, I also listen to a bunch of different styles of music. Everything from gothic stuff to outlaw country to blues to black metal. And I think that's where music becomes a love of mine, is that I love music in general. And I think that's what Soundwave does great, and that's what festivals in general do, is they bring a lot of different music that you may not hear. You know, the kid that hears one band may not hear a genre of another, but if he's walking over to a stage and he hears it, he may get turned on to a new form of music, and that's, after all, isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, there's so much music out there to get the ears listened to. I just got off the phone earlier, before I got onto the phone with you, to Black Dahlia Murder, and I basically said that there shouldn't be any rules when it comes to listening to music. The more ears that are listening and plugged into that material, the better. And I'm mainly going towards the mainstream media, the radio station. If you've got material out there, it should be played. There shouldn't be any rules whatsoever. It should be fair game right across the board.
Look, I know the Black Dahlia guys, first of all, so I wish I could have said hello. Double Drivers done shows with them. Great musicians, great guys. And if you ask them, you know, what they listen to, they're going to probably say a myriad of different kinds of styles of music as well. And as far as making music for radio or for not, I think an artist has to do what an artist does. And if those kind of media outlets, music, TV, movies, etc., come to you, because you've done something heartfelt, then it's a great thing. It's what we did in Cold Chamber, frankly. It's like, you know, before we even went into it, there were certain people around us who were like, well, what do you think the radio track is like? I'm like, what? I don't even write for that, man. I write to make a record, and if radio picks up on it or any of that, any media like that, then it's a blessing to it. Then you get the purity of the art form without losing it in the context of trying to do it in a box in order to make it fit somewhere.
Yep.
That's where I think people lose their way. So, you know, like although Black Dahlia's Murder, you know, they probably will never be played on, you know, active rock radio. It's a shame, because those people would hear something that heavy and that killer and be like, oh man, now I'm a style of this music. But what it really is within any media, you guys, you know, what you're doing, what radio does, what TV does, movie, what they need to do is be brave, take moves to play heavier leaning music in those kind of outlets in order to break different artists open to people. And after all, listen, isn't that what it's all about?
It did. And it's also about having fun too. I mean, you guys put a lot of blood, sweat and tears, and probably a lot of beer drinking as well, making an album. That's why this show is called Blood, Sweat and Metal, because there's so much things go into it. A lot of hard work does pay off. I mean, if you do the hard...
It does. Hard work and belief does pay off. And what you got to realize too is that if you don't work hard and you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to pay off. And I think people need to realize too that back in the day when Cold Chamber first came out, I mean, like, all we did was tour with Pantera and Megadeth and Black Sabbath. I mean, we were heavy. You know, Loco was a very heavy song, but it crossed over in a way that was a real crazy transition, and it was good to see. And I'd like to see that happen more right now in heavy music, because there's a lot of artists that need to be broken open to other people to hear through different media outlets that are afraid to play anything with any kind of heaviness to it. You know, and that being said, the new Cold Chamber record is, you know, it's a balls out record. I mean, it's a heavy record. Make no mistake about it. And we wanted it that way, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly. I want to ask, when you play the new material live for the first time, for instance, how do you see the reaction from the fans coming? Do they tend to judge the song by the performance side of things, or do they just judge it the way they judge anything nowadays?
No, man, listen, I think all music fans judge things exactly the same way, and that's through their ears first and their eyes second. And what we're finding out now is not only the crowds that Coal Chamber has a very young fan base, which is weird. And sometimes I even say, like, you know, either you guys have a long memory or who turned you on to this stuff. But it's incredible to see. And I think, you know, what you need to do is do everything you do from your heart. And, you know, after that, everything will follow. You know, we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. And how they're responding to the new songs is incredible. They're singing IOU 100%. And they know Rivals, which is, you know, crazy. I mean, you know, to say this is a new song, it's called Rivals, and then hear everybody singing the verses with me, let alone the choruses, it's like, what's going on here? But there's nothing you can do than stand back, feel blessed, know that you did the hardest work possible. And like I said, even the most cynical of people that I know are coming to the table and going, man, I can't stop listening to this thing. You did one hell of a job. And it makes you feel real proud that, you know, that you're doing art that people like. And you're doing it from your heart, man.
It is. And it's just great to see that the young kids are starting to explore these bands. I mean, I've always said it's a fashion trend, especially when it comes to music. You have the vinyl, you have the cassette, you have the CD, now it's back to vinyl. But when it comes to the young kids, they seem to explore these bands via YouTube or Wikipedia and that. But there's a downside to it too. There's not a lot of all-age gigs around anymore. You have to be a certain age to go into a venue. And then by the time they get to that legal age, the bands are no longer there. Do you see that type of thing happening at your neck of the woods as well?
I mean, I gotta admit, man. I mean, I come from an era where, you know, there was nothing other than if you wanted music, you went and bought it. You didn't have any of those kind of social media outlets, YouTube, downloading, etc. But what I've seen is I can't really discern the difference, other than, you know, obvious record sales going down for everybody around the world because you can download it for free. What I'm realizing is YouTube can expose you to a whole new genre of people, Spotify, Pandora, and, you know, I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter at Evil River. I'm on Instagram at Des Fafara. I post pictures. I talk to people back and forth. And if I had that kind of relationship when I was younger with artists that I looked up to, I mean, I couldn't even imagine, even though I'm friends with Glenn Danzig now and very good friends with him, I couldn't imagine back in the day when I was listening to his music before I was signed, you know, him tweeting me or like answering a comment on a page. I mean, so I tend to use that as a more personal avenue to reach people because I'm extremely private as well and don't really hang out. You're not going to catch me backstage and at the strip club and any of that. I'm a very private person. So it enables me from the comfort of my back lounge or my bus or backstage or wherever to reach out, to talk to people, to get people's views, to hear, you know, to hear about music. And so I look upon all those outlets as being a grace at this point right now. And we just got to see where the music industry is going. You know, all I would definitely say is, you know, pay for your music if you can, or you're going to lose your artists. I mean, that's the bottom line, because none of us will keep getting signed or keep getting tours, et cetera, if, you know, you download every single thing and we don't sell any albums, then it's done for us. I mean, that's really the reality of things. That also has a flip side. iTunes, you know, I see probably 65-75% of our sales are on iTunes. And people are actually knowing that if you're listening to underground bands, blues, punk rock, metal, anything underground, right?
Yep.
And even underground rap, if that's your shit, then you need to go purchase that, or those artists, you know, who are obviously not, you know, Kanye West, et cetera, are going to have a hard time making their living, which is going to have a hard time, you know, letting them go on tour and leave their families, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, you got to get behind them. You know, but the kid who downloads my music and then watches a YouTube video and digs it and comes to a show, I find that they support me as well by, you know, buying a T-shirt or whatever, and it helps get the airplane ride to, you know, Australia or gets us to South America. Yeah. And we appreciate that for sure. So it's a good thing. It can be a very good thing if it's utilized well.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's all the time we got for and Dez, it's an absolute pleasure. There's a new album called Rivals going to be in our stores in Australia very, very shortly. But Dez, just there's one last thing I'd like to say to the fans down under. Here it is, man.
What's that, brother?
Is there one last thing I'd like to say to the fans down under?
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you very much for the support over the years of both Devil Driver and Coal Chamber. I look forward to sharing this new Coal Chamber record with you guys. I think you're going to love it, and know that I'm recording another Devil Driver record at the end of this year, and you're going to see a new Devil Driver record out late spring, summer, fall next year. So, and I'll be down 100%, and I appreciate all the support over the years, and keep it heavy, man, and turn it up loud regardless of what your fucking neighbors say.
Yeah. And we cannot wait for you guys to hit our shores once again. Alright guys, that's all the time we got for. Thank you, Dez, for joining Blood, Sweat and Metal, and we look forward to catching up very shortly.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate the support. See you down under.
See you, mate. Catch you later.
Please enter the number you wish to